Hello and welcome to Throwdown, episode 171. I am your host, Emilio Lopez, and I am joined by Brett Murdoch,
What's up, everybody?
Carlos Romero,
What up, what up, what up?
and Mr. Adam Vale.
Oi!
So yeah, guys, you may notice there are quite a bit of people missing from this episode. Tony is gallivanting around the city, got stuck on the train, so he's having all kinds of trouble. He's also drunk as hell. He called me up. He's like, "Oh man, I'm so drunk. Oh, I can't. Oh god." So I'm like, "All right, we'll handle this." And let's see what else. Yeah, Chris is just not feeling good right now, so this week is a pretty light show, nothing fancy. We don't got any little extras to talk about right now, so let's just get right into it. So let's get to our featured topic, which is Xbox One sells 35 million. That's pretty damn good. I'm you know I'm impressed.
Well, that's the thing. They said that it was. We know that PS4 is in the lead by a huge margin, but it's not like the Xbox One is not selling.
Yeah.
They're both performing well right now. So it's just one's in the lead. That's all. People are running out there and buying them, but
their marketing tactics of talking about hours played, despite my awareness of it, apparently worked because I thought their sales numbers were over 35 million. Because isn't PlayStation over 70 million?
something like that. It was like 60, 70 million.
Yeah, it's like maybe like what 74 million around there.
Yeah, I did not know the discrepancy. I didn't know it was almost 2-1, and that actually, I'm not talking shit, Xbox gamers. Cool down before you get your pants in a tizzy. And that actually explains a lot about why they're not leveraging more power because they don't have, if it's a 2-1 market share, then it's got to be tough for them negotiating deals for exclusive games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, I definitely think that it's definitely gonna be a little bit of a slow crawl for these guys. But I think once they get once they get something going, I'm hoping at least that it'll just jump up a little bit more. You know what I mean?
We're so entrenched in this generation that it's gonna be tough for a lot of people to jump over right now. I mean, it's not in the average consumer's mind, but here in the next year or two, people, the question is going to actually become pretty important of, do I really want to adopt this late in the generation? And we've all seen how much the tide can turn when somebody comes out with their new console.
Yeah.
So my theory now is that Microsoft is probably abandoning the whole, iterative generation of console thing. Like they probably want to make a new Xbox, and have a clear and defined generation line.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
that's gonna help them get back in the rates the best, I think.
Yeah, because normally, like what I was thinking, at the end of every generation, like we have the best games that come out, and that's when people just uh, get a console and have a whole backlog load of games. But I don't know. It seems like this generation, it just seems like they're kind of like, this is how it's going, I guess. It's like we're throwing in games here and there, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's not much to look forward to, at least on the Xbox side exclusively. So it's
Well, they
yeah,
shot
it's
themselves in the foot by we know
Mhm.
that if it's worth playing for the most part, they're going to find a way to re-release it.
Yeah.
right.
So
So the idea of like, oh, I can go out and get this whole backlog, like, yeah,
Mhm.
but it's kind of the same deal when you were looking at buying a Switch. It's just like, I mean, yeah, you could get a Wii U for a discount price, but
Mhm.
all those games are going to be on the Switch because that's what Nintendo do.
Yeah, it's one thing about this is that it actually did outsell the PS4 Pro in the U.S. So,
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because Xbox One X is heavily marketed.
hmm
PS4 Pro, it just seemed like it was like kind of like a shoe-in or like a throwaway. It's
yeah,
like, yeah, it's there.
yeah. It's if you're planning on getting on PS4, or you can get the Pro, or you can just get the other one. Which I think they for at least for Sony, they never really were going to be promoting it in that sort of way. They always kind of saw it as at least what Microsoft was saying was just as the enthusiast console. It really is the bread and butter is really just the PlayStation 4 normal. You know, that's
Yeah,
the one that most people and most of us in the room have. You know.
Yeah, well, Sony's also not good at supporting their stuff sometimes. Let's all be honest here.
Yeah,
So.
then I mean, like, this is like, you know, we go back to like the Move and we go to the Vita or the PSP where they just kind of do this weird like not advertising. You
Heck,
know,
even PSVR, like PSVR has been doing well, but like, have we really seen that much about it? Like, has there been that much hype on the
no,
PSVR? Like, it's
no,
just doing well
no.
on its own.
Yeah, it's just word of mouth. It's one of those type of things, and
It's
just
a
online reviews and
it's
stuff.
a weird. I mean, we've always said this on the show. Like, with Sony's always had like this odd way of not really promoting any of the things that they actually do. You know what I mean?
Right. And on the contrary, Xbox, I mean, I think they do a good job at selling their stuff. Like the Xbox One X, it's like the most powerful console ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4K. It can do this. It can do HDR. It puts all that stuff in the forefront, so people know what they're getting into when they buy it. Especially consumers, they have those taglines whenever they see this console. But with PlayStation, I mean, we've noticed like last year or was it last year? Yeah, when the PS or 2 years ago when the PS Pro launched, it it was just released. I guess it did decently, but the PS4 Slim released maybe a month before that, and it just blew it out of the water in terms of sales. So
Yeah.
people just gravitated towards that and didn't really mind the PS4 Pro
Mm-hmm.
as much.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we have anything more to say about that one. I mean, you know,
I could pat and vamp a little bit.
if
Like,
you
let me
want,
let me ask
if you
guys.
want to, yeah, take us in a direction, Brett.
Okay, so since we now know some real hard numbers and we know that there's a 2-to-1 market share, what can Microsoft do to, because we've all kind of ragged on them a little bit about not having enough exclusives and having to have real true exclusives to pull people back into their camp. But now that we know that they have a 2-to-1 market share, that's going to be really difficult for most third-party developers. So with this information in hand, what does Microsoft do to pad their games library with exclusives? How do they even go about doing the thing that we all want them to do?
By studios, and studios that have some games already that they can just push off that maybe they were just on Steam and they weren't on PS4, and they were like, hey, all right, this is gonna be one of our console exclusives, just like we did Battlegrounds. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
Well, I think buying up and coming studios would be a good idea. I mean, they've done the whole let's get Rare the big fish and like
Mm-hmm.
out of everywhere, and they completely failed at that. It flopped that whole thing with Rare. But if you get, I mean, they could start with getting that studio that did Cuphead for one. That's the studio MHDR, I think they're called.
Yeah.
They could get like studios like that haven't released that many games, but they've released a good promising game that has done well. And yeah, I mean, obviously they don't. I mean, they have money for days, but I don't think they're willing to invest as much on studios
Mm-hmm.
as we would expect them to do. But man, starting off with at least like giving people some games to look forward to, maybe four exclusive, like four top-notch exclusive games every year would give them a boost.
Yeah, I
Because
agree with that.
they're getting all the third-party stuff, so that's in the bag right now. If they can just promote four games, and I'm not even talking about like Halo and Gears and Forza, because those always come. So we can get like four exclusive games released every year that are big titles that get people excited. I think would do wonders for Microsoft.
I would agree with that. I'd also like to add, Microsoft has one foot kind of already in the PC gaming market, so they could do what Valve did or old Valve did, where they're really looking into the really successful modders and coders who are overhauling games and hiring them as young talent. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. That's why we have Portal. That's why we have Portal 2. And I don't know why we're never going to get Portal 3 because that has nothing to do with anything. But they could look at a lot of indie game developers and essentially use the market as a test bed, as a focus group. See what games are a little rough around the edges, but the people are really picking up on. Pick those studios up for pennies on the dollar, or hire the people in, give them a deal, and then give them a platform to make their game. And then you have all of these, exclusive kind of innovative games. And even if, only 1 out of 5 of them really flies, you're going in with a little bit more proof. This game is, it's already there. It's, Undertale, for instance, the people who made Undertale, like, I'm not personally huge on that game, but people fucking loved that game.
Mm-hmm.
Hire those people. Hire the people who made Binding of Isaac. Hire the people who made Assault and Sanctuary. Some of these games, and this is a bit of a shitty comment, are only indie in their nature. They're only limited in their graphics because that's all that the developer can really afford. There are some people who are making indie games not because they want to make indie games, but because they don't have the budget, the team for AAA games. But they're incredibly talented individuals nonetheless, and those are the people that I think Microsoft needs to set their sights on. So they could even just open a couple of new studios and fill them full of this young talent and release indie games, or kind of release little micro games or skeletons of games and see what people like, and what when they find something that people jump on, they bring it back, they church it up a little bit, they give it the full AAA development process, and there you have it. A good example of that is Breath of the Wild. They remade the original Zelda with some of the Breath of the Wild mechanics. They play tested it and they really enjoyed it. It worked for a while. That's the kind of thing that I'm thinking of. You could, have that go to, somebody's made that game already. Somebody's made a little indie dungeon crawler, and you could just sort by Steam most popular and be like, oh, a lot of people really like this kind of thing. Harvest Moon, for instance. Not Harvest Moon. What's the Stardew Valley?
Yeah.
Stardew Valley was made by one person who loved Harvest Moon but didn't really like where Harvest Moon was going. And they made a phenomenal hit that a ton of people like. Now, granted, it's going to be a little harder, to pick those people up once they've gotten that money, but that would be a great guy to have on your team. The Harvest Moon team should have absolutely headhunted that dude immediately because Stardew Valley is going to eclipse Harvest Moon. They need to bring that guy in as like a consultant with equal power to the lead developer. Be like, sorry, guy, this dude's beating your pants off in sales. He's half in charge now. Meet your new co-boss.
Well, and these exclusive titles, like they're part of the brand. It's like you get a PlayStation and you know what you have coming. You know you have God of War. You know you have Uncharted. You know you have, a lot of Japanese games that for some reason only show up on the PlayStation that could pretty much come out in Xbox, like Persona, Yakuza. Why aren't these games on Xbox?
Plus the faith of like, if they're going to make another Last of Us, it's most likely going to be a PlayStation exclusive.
Oh no, not most likely. It's definitely
going to be one.
Yeah, but like, so yeah, you have all these games that are coming, and then there's all those. Well, if this game ever comes, I know what console it's going to be on, so I'm just going to hedge my bet. So it's not only the games that but the games that might come.
Heck, even when when Final Fantasy 15 came out, I was shocked. I was shocked that it was on Xbox.
Yeah, well,
I forgot.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the last one was on there.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm so used to it being, quite like after Nintendo, a PlayStation title.
Yeah,
I was like, what? This is on Xbox? Oh, Final Fantasy 13. Okay.
That is also something that kind of did happen on the previous Final Fantasy before 15. What was it, 14 or 13? I can't remember. The one with
14 was MMO,
the one with lightning in it, right? And that one did a little bit better on the PlayStation side because people just associated it with PlayStation since the past games were all on there.
Yep, Metal Gear 2. That's like another one. So people still, even after, Final Fantasy 13 went multiplat years ago.
Yeah.
So did Metal Gear. So it's like people still associate these as PlayStation games.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why their brand carries on for years. That's why
Mhm.
they're destroying the competition, because my Metal Gear Solid console is the PlayStation for a lot of people.
Mhm.
That's how they see it, and that's unfortunately gonna hamper against people like Xbox.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's funny because there's so many things that Microsoft could buy. I mean, like, when the Hitman franchise, when those guys decided to go off on their own end, I could have definitely seen Hitman be like a friggin' Xbox exclusive game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if there's some other studios that have very Xbox centric sorts of games that they. I mean, why I don't know what the deal is with Ubisoft and Splinter Cell, but I mean, shit, wouldn't it be awesome if Microsoft actually did get the rights to just make Splinter Cell games? Like that was just their thing.
Yeah, because I mean, Splinter Cell was something that we always played on Xbox. Like, I mean, I fucking love Chaos Theory
Yeah.
and Conviction. It's like it's something that I always look forward to playing on my Xbox, but it's just not there anymore.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Fable is another one. Like a
Oh,
lot of franchises
God, they need
have died.
Yeah.
Man, yep. I Fable 2 was one of my favorite games last gen, and it went from and Fable 3 was okay, but man, it went from a franchise that we could look forward to just dead in a matter of years. They didn't even release a game that flopped to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they just went straight from mainline like system selling title, and by the fourth one it was pretty much shovelware. I have no idea how that, and it's not like it didn't do well either. That's the weird thing. It's not like it ever got a bad response. I mean, even 3 shortcomings were at least made up for a little bit by the fact they had a more robust multiplayer system. Like, I would agree, I like 2 better, but 3 you could actually make your character, like 2 you had a placeholder character when you played multiplayer, and I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But 3, like I played the shit out of 3 with Rachel, and like I could actually bring my character into her world and vice versa. That kind of made up for a little bit of the loss of mechanics. But yeah, each generation they dumbed it down a little bit. Each time people were like, whatever, it's still Fable, I still like it. Even through the 3rd game, which was not the best. And then immediately they're like, we're gonna turn this into a shovelware party game, and then they cancel it. Who pissed in your Cheerios?
I mean, I'm wondering if it at least the executives over there are like, well, if this isn't making X amount of money, well, then we should just drop it.
Yeah, and also I want to mention another thing, that an exclusive that Microsoft lost in the span of a generation was online multiplayer. Xbox Live was the king.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's something that just it had no competition. PSN when it first launched was
It
pretty
was
bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I mean, PSN was so horrible that the store didn't even run right. Like the thing that you get all the games and the DLC and all that stuff was just horrible on there.
But remember, it was at an E3 where one of the Sony reps they made a song and everything about it, where he just said it was an afterthought. They were like, well, we did focus reviews and stuff, and our audience just really isn't into the whole multiplayer, so we're not really focusing on that.
Yeah,
and that was their answer to when they announced that Xbox was coming out with a whole online experience.
Yeah,
that's always their answer, though.
Well,
we
I think
research and found out our clients don't want faster internet.
Yeah, I think it's partly that, but I think when you ask people who don't have that sort of stuff, they're just like, oh yeah, I don't really play online. It's like, oh, it's that sort of thing where it's like they didn't ever think to do that. But I mean, to be honest, if they really wanted to be future proof, Sony really should have made that decision. And when they finally did, they realized that the console that they built really couldn't open enough ports to run a decent online service. Like, I mean, you had to
still runs horrible. Like, every once in a while I'll turn on my PS3 and just go into the store, and it's so bad.
Yeah, the store does freeze up and stuff like that. It's
you can tell that the system isn't built around it. Like, man, here's what Microsoft needs to do. and I know that they'll never do it, but at the beginning of next generation, just announce this generation, we're not having a paid online service.
Oh,
you
just pull
you
it
can
back.
pay and you'll get free games, but you don't have to pay to play multiplayer games and just watch the mass exodus go to Microsoft's side.
Yeah, like let's say if online multiplayer was not was just free now.
Yeah, they if they and they don't like that's what
But I
I'm
mean
saying. They don't even have to
that's
give you
essentially
Xbox Gold for free. They just need to take multiplayer from behind the paywall, and you will see
it's
so
funny
many
be,
people migrate.
it's funny because that's exactly PlayStation Plus on PS3. They had a full free online service, and the Plus was the thing for the free games and all the other additional junk. So that would be them like switching sides. You know what I mean?
Well, they jump back and forth, but that discussion is going to come up again when Sea of Thieves comes out because it's on that pass, that $10 pass. But if you want to play with your friends and have the big boat and stuff, you need Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
You know, so
you
a
bought
lot
the
of
big
people,
boat.
I'm seeing all these forums and stuff. People are like, yeah, I'm just going to do $10. I want to play it. Yeah, well, me and my buddies, we'll just play it and run through it and stuff. I'm like, no. Unless you have gold, then you're cool. But if you don't have
Yeah.
gold and you're just like, I'm just gonna jump in on this, no, it doesn't work. You're gonna have to get that other subscription.
Yeah, I mean, unless they'll just do like a one, like a little short subscription to the Xbox Live to get to do the online multiplayer.
They need to because a lot of people are under the impression it's just $10 and there you go.
No, it's $10 and you get the game. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you can play Sea of Thieves offline. I don't think you need to play it on.
You play by yourself, but
Yeah.
the thing is that you'll have a little boat, and then if you come across other people, they could just rob you just like that. It's sort of like the way the Division works going into Dark Zone. I could go to Dark Zone by myself, but I'm gonna get murdered. I need a crew of people.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that Microsoft needs to do, and I feel like I'm sure they know all the things that they have, and they definitely want to keep that sort of momentum going forward.
And I want to mention, as far as considering me, if anyone considers me an Xbox hater, I'm trying the best to get these guys to Sony's level because I have an OG Xbox, an Xbox One S, and I'm considering buying an X. So they gotta step their game up, man.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why we're so critical of them is because we want a viable competition to Sony. We don't want them to conquer everyone like this.
Yeah, we don't
2-1 is.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't want to see there be a place without any sort of like
competition.
Competition or on par competition. You know what I mean?
2-1 is too much.
Yeah.
I think that's what Carlos was about to say. Like this is not a happy news story. This is a sad news story. As much as I'd like to be like, congratulations on your 35 million, when in the context of what we're talking about, I'm not happy to talk about a 2-1 market share. That's not good for any of us. I want to have 3 healthy, viable systems all pushing each other to be the best. A lot of you are probably too young to remember that. That used to be a thing.
Yeah,
and that was when some of the best video games. That was that golden age of video games. Having one company dominate so profoundly over 35 million and what's Switch at, like 15 million, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Something like that.
That is way too big of a gap, man. That's not good for any of us.
Yeah. So yeah, moving on. THQ returns. Essentially, what's happening here is THQ Nordic acquired Deep Silver, meaning Saints Row is back at THQ. Welcome back.
But is it the same group, same owners? I mean, I thought it was just THQ was completely gone.
Well,
then that
yes,
Nordic bought it.
Yes, that's what it is. It's THQ
Oh.
Nordic is essentially, it's not the same people there.
Yeah.
It's essentially the Nordic Games bought all the assets of the leftover assets of THQ, and then they just said, you know what, let's just call ourselves THQ Nordic, and that's it. So, I mean, granted, there are a lot of the same studios that are still there, doing games. So now they're all pretty much there. I mean, I think THQ Nordic has Darksiders, or was it Deep Silver that had Darksiders? One of them had it. Anyway,
It was.
Then they have the Metro series.
It had Red Faction. I know that.
Yeah, there's Metro.
MX. It was.
ATV.
Oh yeah, it was Metro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a big deal because that was one of the big ones, and the one they didn't pick up, and that was the one that 2K picked up was the WWE series
Mm.
because that was also on there. That and the UFC.
Homefront as well. Like,
yeah.
it's crazy. Like, if you think about it, they're just THQ goes bankrupt, disbands. A lot of its property got sold to different places,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and it's
that
like
was sad.
we're getting it back together. It's like, oh, I
Tomb
hope
Raider.
it
Remember
works.
Tomb Raider?
Tomb
Raider,
Raider, no, that wasn't through THQ.
That was.
That
oh,
was
Eidos.
it was
That
Eidos. That's now
Right.
Square Enix, or part of
That's
Square Enix. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool to see. Essentially, it's we kind of went around in a circle and just came back around again for this one. It's interesting. That this kind of happened. I'm wondering, why it actually happened. Was it because the last Deep Silver game just didn't do that great?
Maybe they just found out it was up for sale and said, "Yeah, you know what? Why not?"
Yeah. So what these guys are getting is this essentially THQ is back, obviously Saints Row. They're getting Homefront, and they're getting Dead Island and Metro. So all coming back. So let's see
I'd
what.
like to see another Dead Island, man.
I'd like to see a Dead Island that actually captures the intrigue of the trailers, because
Right?
you
Did
know.
you ever play? Yeah, that was a great trailer. But did you ever play that 8-bit version that they made?
No, I've never played that.
Yeah.
They made an 8-bit side scroller that was pretty cool. It was like a Double Dragon type thing.
You just beat the shit out of zombies.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, I think it's on all the consoles.
Yo, man. I mean, Dead Island. So I understand why you like it, Brett. But for me, and this is kind of something you always harp on with PC gaming. So I got Dead Island on PC, right? And I started playing it, and I just got infested by modders. And I'm like,
man.
I can't even survive in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
On console, eh?
No, it was on PC.
Oh.
On your
Yeah,
PC?
that's. God damn it. On his PC?
On his
on my
PC?
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know if it was, was it co-op? I think I was playing co-op on the game or something like that. I just remember someone was just killing me every time. I didn't even get a chance to breathe. So I'm like, I guess this is it for me and Dead Island.
Oh, somebody was playing the monster mode and they were hunting through the city as a modded monster. That fucking sucks.
Boo.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
hey, the trailer's good.
Yeah, the trailers are nice. The only
Yeah.
thing I just would love to see them somehow capture that in the actual game. I mean, both of them are pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it'll be definitely good to see that happen again, and also see Saints Row again. Hopefully, if they're working on a new one, it'll come out eventually. I mean,
Hey, but
there is a space. They can literally. I mean, because Saints Row they don't do the online stuff, do they? No, they right. They never really had it like
Yeah,
an
they
online.
have online.
They had online mode.
The other one also has co-op. They had online and co-op.
I
The
don't know, I
Get
mean,
Out of Hell was co-op play.
What if they went the Grand Theft Auto way? Because remember, if like Saints Row is kind of like the crazy version of Grand Theft Auto. Where everybody's.
This last one didn't have co-op. That's what everybody was bitching about because they should have had co-op play.
What was that name of that one? The
Agents of Mayhem.
Agents of Mayhem. Yeah, it was just a single player experience, and I feel like a lot of people got once they found out it was not multiplayer and you had these kind of unique characters that were hanging out. It's too bad that you couldn't have like a jump in, jump out co-op. The thing about like a lot of games don't seem to do jump in, jump out co-op.
A lot of games do it.
Like no, I mean like the way Gears of War did it.
Yeah, a lot of the Division did it. You
can just go through go through the story,
out.
just go through the story mode like with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just go through the story mode and just jump in and jump out.
Because I remember like especially with like Resident Evil 5 and Gears of War had that really cool aspect. We're just like, oh yeah, I'm playing. I'll jump in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I don't want to play anymore. I'm jumping out.
No, that's the cool thing. A lot of these games, and that's why I keep telling people when they're like, "Oh, well, I'm not crazy about that." It's awesome, especially when you play with friends. It's great experience.
Yep. So that's THQ is back in a way, some sort of odd way. Anyway, next topic. So the U.S. Senate senator confronts the ESRB over loot box classification and addiction. So it's finally getting out there. It's just like weaseling its way through. If you remember, like a while ago, you had that senator from Hawaii was.
Hawaii. That one, yeah, that's putting into place. I think that's a
Mhm.
bill that they're trying to get passed.
Well,
So-
the thing is, the sad thing is that this sort of stuff had been around for so long. They've been using it in friggin' cell phone games and all kinds of other stuff where it's like you pay and then you just randomly get stuff like I guess the best idea version of this would be kind of like cards, and which
Oh,
just
cell phone games are the worst. They
Oh, yeah.
oh
they
yeah.
intentionally. Some video games do shitty practices. Cell
Oh,
phone
yeah.
games go out of their way to target
It's
addicts.
the
Yeah.
thing about cell phone games is that they are outside of the reach of the ESRB, aren't they?
Because they're just applications
There's-
on
Yeah,
they're just a part of what Apple allows. Like
Mhm.
Apple is pretty much king on what comes out in their ecosystem,
Mhm.
and Android as well.
Yeah, so it's like the Wild West over there, so they can get away with pretty much anything that they want to. Only now they started looking into all the loot box stuff, on at Apple. But it's like, Candy Crush or any one of those things, they all use this sort of stuff.
They make spank, man.
Mhm.
So I got a story. And I don't know if I've mentioned this in the show before. I was heading home from work and I got a call from my nephew, and he's like, "Can you come here? I need help." And I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" So I go, right, and we went to his my other nephew, his little brother,
Mhm.
on his Xbox, and he's like, "Can you get a refund on this?" And I'm like, "Refund on what?" And I look, over $200 within a week on microtransactions for Roblox.
Whoa.
And I'm like, "How the hell did you do this?" I'm like, and I noticed his Xbox didn't even ask him for anything.
Mhm.
It was just tied to a PayPal account because Xbox. Here's the thing: Xbox does a really shitty practice when it comes to Xbox Live Gold.
Mm.
You can't just buy a 1 month or a 12-month subscription and have Xbox Live Gold. You have to tie it to a credit card or something like
Oh,
that.
so yeah,
No,
they
you can get
automatically take it,
Get
right?
the codes. You get the digital codes. That's what I do. I just get the digital codes.
So what happened? They had a paid off 12 months, right?
Mhm.
So in advance, and we tried to remove the credit card from the account, and it wouldn't allow us. It said you need you need something in replace of what you're trying to remove, and we couldn't remove the credit card. So yeah, I don't know if he did it intentionally or he did it unintentionally or hackers or something, but apparently $200 wasted on Roblox microtransactions. And it's
Wow.
like, okay, I get it. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I'm guessing a lot of parents go through a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely, and especially if the parents are not very knowledgeable about the consoles that they're buying for their kids, because I mean, there's all these parental controls that you could put on the consoles, to stop certain things from happening. Even Sony just added a bunch of new stuff on there, but officially there is no, like, unless you do that, there is no way to stop it. Like if your kid, because again, your kid doesn't know the value of money. They just say, "Oh, if you want to get more stuff, you just hit this button, and then it just does it."
Right.
It's not like you had to ask. It's not like in the old days when we were kids. You literally had to ask mom and dad for quarters or a dollar bill so that you could go to the actual the actual arcade and pay the money.
Right.
There was something there's some sort of a physical transaction that happened and you needed to get there. But now it's just like, okay, yeah, just put the credit card on there and just let them roll with it. And that's how it happens to a lot of parents with their cell phones, where they have their kids' cell phone attached to their attached to their service, like iTunes
See,
or or
And the problem
Google.
is with a lot of the in-game purchases transactions is that at first the original game itself may need a parent to activate,
Yeah.
or you need a credit card, and then once you approve that you're in, that's it. It'll never prompt you again. So if the kid says, "Oh yeah, I want to buy these packs," it's gonna let them do it because it's like, "Hey, you bought this already, so it's good." And they need to implement some kind of system where it'll constantly ask. I'm sure in some games there are settings, and parents just need to be aware of it because it's so far that yeah, the console can do it. PlayStation can probably put some parental stuff for the ordering. We know with the codes and Xbox, but what about the end game microtransactions? I mean, once the game is purchased, okay, that's it. That's where it's done. But what about the end game stuff? There should be a setting in there blocking it, or where it would ask for a password, and then that's when the parent can come and say, "Hey, what are you trying to do?" "Oh, well, I want to get the season pass." And because right now most games don't. I've never seen one that asked for any other additional information. So if the kid says, "Hey, I want all the maps," what, $60? Yeah, press this X button, boop, it's done.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they gotta come up with some way.
And probably what a lot of people do, or a lot of these gaming developers do, is they put maybe the in-game currency as like the bigger the bigger signage on the label. So maybe they don't see that, or maybe they don't recognize that this is $20, and it's like, okay, so I'll buy a couple of these, and it's like they don't even notice what they're spending.
Yeah,
So
because
it's-
also their in-game currency doesn't actually amount to actual real money. So that's
Right.
like, hey, buy for a dollar get 50,000 points. Well, 50,000 points is really not that much. You know what I mean? But it sounds like a lot. But I think there's also rules against that too. Essentially, using real currency values inside of these games. So if you're paying for something, within the game, they're not allowed to say to you, "Hey, this thing costs about $8. This item costs $8." You're really just paying for the coins to buy whatever is in the game. Unlike DLC, which is like something that's sold at the PlayStation or Xbox stores.
Not only that, it's a fixed purchase. It's you're just buying one thing. I don't think you can even buy it twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, those microtransactions you can just
The packs you can keep buying. I know
Yeah.
for a fact a lot of those packs like FIFA and all of them, you can just keep buying them. They don't even care. They'll just like, what, $100? Pfft, ding, what, another 100? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, just for the randomized thing. But the funny thing is that, again, you were talking about this before with Foot. It's like it's all been there. It just took a Star. It just took a Star Wars to do it.
That's it. That's why I keep telling people. They're like, "Oh no, this is different." No, it's not different.
It's the same thing. It's literally like EA has enacted this loot box microtransaction system within all of their titles in some way, shape, or form.
I feel like Star Wars though was the worst offender. Not because it was the biggest title, but just because somebody sat down, did the math, and
Well, yeah, it's because
7,000 hours to unlock it. Like, okay, you've gone. Each time it's gotten exponentially worse, and this time you're like, okay, now you've made it, unfeasible for anybody to be able to unlock.
People are actually looking into this stuff rather than just taking these things as face value. You look at this thing, it's like, okay, how many hours will it actually take for me to continuously play this game to unlock all this stuff? Oh, 5 years or whatever crazy amount they calculated it at. And then how many microtransactions you would need to get every single item inside of the game. That's crazy. But I'm glad that at least now that we have people like just looking into these sorts of progression systems and being, no. This is not right. This doesn't make any sense. The way this costs or how long it actually takes to do this. So, moving on. Disney, this is actually a rumor that I heard about, but we've heard about. It's been all over the net, but apparently Disney may give the Star Wars license to Activision, or at least they're looking to, or they're shopping it around, which is it's interesting. I mean, Activision did have the Star Wars license way back in the day, during Episode 1 era, I think. So, what do you guys think of that? I mean, it's I don't know. It feels like the same thing. It's like EA or Activision. They'll probably do the same goddamn thing anyway. right?
Yeah. No. No. I don't think they'll do the same thing, but I still don't believe this. I think this is it's too soon.
I think so too. I definitely think that if I mean, obviously Disney did lose quite a bit of money off of, and they did lose quite a bit of money off of this this microtransactions bullshit from the Star Wars Battlefront 2. So I mean, I don't know.
It just sounds too much like what we want to hear, though.
Yeah.
Like going back to Activision being taken out of EA's hands, like
Mm-hmm.
too many elements of the story they fit too well, so I don't buy it. I would believe that Disney is shopping around the license because they're not really happy with the performance of EA.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like it's just the perfect mix. Like, okay, so you know that Disney is probably shopping the license around. Like that sounds like something that's very plausible. And so you take something that seems like it's probably true, or at least they're not going to renew the license contract with EA. So you take something that's probably true, mix it with a little bit of what people want to hear,
Mm-hmm.
and that Star Wars is going back to Activision, and Activision actually treated the Star Wars brand right back in the day. So it's I imagine there are elements that are true to this, but I don't buy this story.
Yeah, I think it's it's a grain of salt, as we would say.
Yeah.
It. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who? But I almost feel like it's almost like they're going to. It's like the lesser of two evils. You know what I mean? You got it's like hey, it's EA, the evilest, considered by most the evilest video game company that ever existed, or the other evilest company that ever existed, which is Activision.
Yeah, when you find yourself being like, "Go Activision,"
Vision. And then Bobby Kotick shows up with his creepy looking face. Ooh. So yeah, it's again, it's a grain of salt. I don't know. I mean, if they do, all power to them, I guess. But who knows how long it'll take them to start developing games and all that other stuff. I mean, and also Activision has been known to do like bullshit jobs, or like they'll grab a license and they'll just put out like a junk game just to keep the license. So I don't know. Next one, and I think this is our last topic right now. Shaq Fu 2 is coming this spring.
Oh shit.
Yep, Shaq Fu. The game that somehow somebody felt that they needed to make a sequel to the probably one of the worst fighting games ever made.
The thing is I mean, I know Shaq still does TV, but is he still that relevant to have a game again?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think he's known, but I think there's a whole generation of people that never knew him as a basketball player. They just
Maybe
think,
the guy
he's
from the
behind
Gold
it.
commercials?
huh?
I say, you mean the guy from the Gold Bond commercials?
Yeah. The guy from the Gold Bond commercials, or the guy who hosts what was he? I think he's on ESPN, right?
He's on
He's
TNT.
He's on TNT. So it's like that guy, the host.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Shaq Fu came out when Shaq was at the height of its powers.
Yeah.
It's like a big Kazam at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess.
I feel like it's more of I feel like it's more of an ironic thing that they're doing. But from the way this game looks, if you've ever seen the trailer of it, it looks more like a beat 'em up rather than a one-on-one fighting game like the original one was.
Yeah.
So there is might be a little bit of hope on it, but also at the same time, it's like, do I really want to play a game with Shaquille O'Neal in it, beating up people on the streets?
I don't know who sat there and went, you know what the world needs? Shaq Fu 2.
I think Shaquille O'Neal said that. I think he's like, yo, I think we need to make a new Shaq Fu. It's time. Go bomb medicated powder.
And he does that little shimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, he does that little guy. So
Yeah. Man, if we're getting a Shaq Fu 2 and not like Brett mentioned earlier, Portal 3, it's like that's the biggest travesty of video games ever.
yes, yeah.
What the fuck, 2018?
I mean,
Man, Brett, you fucked me up, man, because like I always like that every month that comes into my head, it's like Portal 3 is that ever coming? Like Portal 2 was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Like it's like how can you improve on a game that was already amazing?
Yeah. I
You
remember.
just make more of it. That's all I want.
Well, they closed down that studio. The guys
I
that
know.
developed it, I think they went on to develop a game called Quantum Conundrum after they kind of rejoined and made a new studio, and I think even that company went down too.
Yeah,
So
but the thing about that is that it's not a studio that made that game. It's a person.
well, I mean,
They
yeah, I think it was the person that did create Portal or somebody who was with that team created
No, yeah,
Quantum
they put a
Conundrum.
really successful team around them, but
Mhm.
like the success of the first Portal game was pretty much like that was just a cleaned up version of like their game that they made on their own
Mhm.
as an indie developer. And Portal 2 was what happened when they put a development team with actual writers and the whole AAA deal
And
behind that
co-op.
person. But the thing about it is there are some creative types that are so good at what they do that they have a huge influence over the project, like
Mhm.
Kojima, for instance.
Yeah. Or
So
Gabe Newell.
when yeah, so like they make or break the project, and
Mhm.
without them, it doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
you could track down, or Valve could very easily find the original developer of Portal, and be like, okay, we need to bring you back. And as long as they put a creative team, I think it's a female behind her,
Mhm.
then the game would be awesome,
Mhm.
as opposed to certain creative endeavors that are made by a group that you can't really there's certain things like if there's a movie, George Lucas is kind of the opposite of that. Like
Mhm.
Star Wars was such a collaborative effort. George Lucas takes a lot of credit for it, but
Yeah.
his original draft for the original movies was a 12-page synopsis. So
Yeah.
when you took everybody else out of the equation and George Lucas was just like, I'm the talent here, that's when he
Mhm.
got the prequels.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing. You hear read about all the stories. I mean, like his wife at the time re-edited the film and got rid of a bunch of useless stuff. And it's like it's interesting. Like all those people that made those original films, he essentially just got rid of all of them and said, "I'm the genius," as opposed to being like, "No, you're the catalyst of this idea, but that the original like crawl to Star Wars was like I remember from what I heard. I think I can't remember which director said it, but it was like it was so long that he totally just rewrote it for George Lucas.
And see, that's the thing is some people's talent is recognizing talent, putting
Mm-hmm.
together a good team. Some people's talent is being the creative. It's the reason why you have a director and a producer
Mm-hmm.
and a script writer. It's helpful to kind of break that down. And
Mm-hmm.
George Lucas was never the type that he was the creative force. He was kind of a Steve Jobs kind of character where he was good at greasing the wheels and turfing out things to people who were good at them,
Mm-hmm.
at delegating jobs. Like that is still a very valuable role. I
Yeah.
would say George Lucas is one of the best producers ever. Um, I would say that that's his most valuable role, though, and the
Mm-hmm.
same goes for some video games.
Yeah.
Some people are the creative force behind the game, and I think that's how Portal is. But there are other games that we will never see remade. I'm still even a little wary about Shenmue, just because it's that I don't think that's a one person's creative baby. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
collaborative effort, and that's when you try and recreate collaborative efforts. Like that's how you get the later seasons of Futurama. Like,
I mean,
still good, but not great.
For Shenmue, it is a lot of the original people, character designers, writers, and all that stuff. So the only difference I think is probably a lot of the programmers who probably are still at Sega, But I mean, like the guy who created Yakuza, he worked on Shenmue, you know.
Well, yeah, yeah. Wait, you can't tell it
You
all.
think, right?
I
What a coincidence! Yeah.
don't see it.
But
Man,
yeah, Shaq Fu.
going back to the whole Portal thing.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this previously, but Valve, man, They just don't like releasing the third iterations of franchises.
I don't even think that they're
Up
really
with that.
interested in developing games anymore. What is the last game they
No.
developed?
Probably a Counter-Strike, one of the Counter-Strike games.
The last Counter-Strike? Is that what
They
it
did
was?
a patch. I think they released a patch or something recently.
Is
for
that
Counter-
really? I mean, you only. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know much about programming, but you don't need a lot of nearly as many people that make a full game to make a patch, right?
Yeah,
I
like
don't
a full
even know
team.
if they
Probably,
have a
no,
development studio anymore, do they?
I don't know. You know. Here's the thing. Actually, they did. I think the guys who were making Half-Life were still there for a long time. But if you remember, like not long ago, the guy who wrote a lot of the original two Half-Life games, he actually just released what he wanted the last Half-Life to be, and he just changed all the names. I think he posted the story on his blog because he's like,
So-
it's not happening.
So apparently, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's really interesting because that would kind of suggest that the creative forces behind the games want to make them, but there's something standing in their way.
Yeah, it's a big, large, fat thing that's standing in there. Hey,
Hey man, don't diss the Gabe.
hey, listen. Nobody ever sits down and asks that guy. Like, it seems like he's kind of gone into media blackout mode. Like he's just a legend because nobody
Yeah.
seems to ask him about these or gets him in a room or asks him about this sort of stuff.
Because he won't answer. Okay, the best analogy I have for Gabe Newell, and fuck it, because we're never getting Half-Life 3, so I can make all the fat jokes I want. The best analogy I have for Gabe Newell is he's like a Snorlax. He's just this big fucker who gets in your way and will not move, will not answer your questions.
It's like, hey Gabe, Half-Life 3, Snorlax.
Yeah.
It just is.
Hey man, you're sitting in the middle of the path to Portal 3, Snorlax. Like, yeah, but you need to move your fat ass so we can, like, we can't get down this road without you. Just sleeping.
He rolls over on somebody. Ah!
So apparently, the last game to be released by Valve is called The Lab. It's a virtual reality game
Huh,
for the
interesting.
HTC Vive.
Okay.
Before that, Left 4 Dead Survivors in 2014, which is an arcade game. It says arcade.
Interesting.
And man, Counter-Strike, Nexon Zombies. It was probably like an add-on.
Mm.
So yeah, Valve is kind of pretty disinterested with making games now.
They're too
Dota
busy.
is making them so much money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're at that point where it's just like we're printing money. Literally, other video game companies give us money. All of you give us money. We're just printing money here. We don't need to make any more games. Just sad.
That's a shame because that means they could, with that kind of money, they could just finance all kinds of innovation.
Yep. They could just keep doing iterations of their own games, and I mean they could release a console with all these games, and I'd buy it.
Yeah.
It's like if they tell if Valve decides to release a console, not a Steam box, a console,
The Valve
and
box.
the Valve box, and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna launch the console, and it's gonna launch with Left 4 Dead 3, and later on in the year we're gonna release I don't know, Team Fortress 3, and then the new Dota the next year, and then at the end of the year we're gonna release a new Portal at the end of the year, and then the next year we're gonna release the new Counter-Strike, and then at the end of the year we're gonna release a new Half-Life. I'm fucking sold.
Yeah, I would be out the door halfway through that announcement.
Like we have Microsoft. We talked about them earlier, how they have trouble releasing like exclusive games that people kind of want to play. And it's like Valve is sitting on a fucking gold mine. I forgot they released what's it called, Alien Swarm. I like the Alien Swarm. I don't know if you guys played it. So
No,
it's
I didn't play it.
Yeah, I played it on my PC. I don't know if it came out in the consoles. It's a top-down shooter, the co-op. It's pretty good. So yeah, it's. I just really wish they develop games.
Yeah. Can't be kind of cool, and I'm sure Valve would never do this. But what if Xbox decided to buy all those games?
What? Oh no!
Essentially,
I was gonna say something.
essentially the orange box they bought.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like, what if Microsoft bought Valve?
Oh,
that was
I don't know if that'd happen.
That was part of that rumor.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah, it was part of the rumor before when I was talking about that it might buy EA and they were like, oh, they
Oh,
might
yeah,
buy Steam and the whole thing. And I don't know if they would buy Valve altogether, but they were definitely mentioning Steam.
They
would
couldn't
never
afford
sell.
that shit.
Yeah.
oh no, they can. It's just it'd be expensive as hell. It's like, Disney bought 20th Century Fox. It's like Valve is not. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Valve is worth as more as 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, I don't think Microsoft has Disney money though.
Yeah, it's possible. It might be close, but yeah, Disney is just they're gonna run the country pretty soon, so they pretty much are right now.
Yeah, they're and somehow they're gonna not be considered a monopoly. It's like no,
Because it's Disney. Everybody loves Disney. Oh.
yeah. I mean, like if you ever look at any of the, we're getting into non-gaming stuff, but Disney, all of Disney's famous characters by now should actually be public domain. But unfortunately, the way they work is they get the rhetoric changed around to where they can keep the rights to all of their characters. So,
Isn't that the whole reason why they do some of those stupid direct-to-movie releases so that they keep the characters in perpetuity or whatever it is?
That's actually why you see a lot of kind of obscure characters kind of show up in movies they put out these little re-releases and stuff like that, so they don't lose the rights to any of the content. But if you remember what happened to Warner Brothers, they actually lost the rights to a bunch of their cartoons because they didn't use the characters or put the films out, so they're just in public domain in limbo.
Wait, are you saying that when Disney takes the Cinderella DVDs off the market and then releases a special edition that they're creating artificial scarcity and then just renewing their license?
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing.
I'm aghast.
Yep, that's exactly
aghast,
exactly what they're doing. It's also the same thing if you want to talk about comic books. It's the same thing. When I worked at Marvel Comics as an intern, what we used to do is, we used to do searches through all the different characters, and we had like a listing of the ones that hadn't been seen in a while. If they haven't been seen in a while, there is a good chance that they could lose the rights to those characters, and they end up being in public domain. So if they want to keep a certain amount of characters around, that's why they have these guys just show up. Hey, look, Brother Voodoo just showed up out of nowhere. It's because they want to keep the license to Brother Voodoo, so that's why he's showing up in this issue or stuff like that. Crazy, right?
It makes it kind of sense. I mean, I knew Sony was doing it with Spider-Man for years.
Oh yeah, they're totally trying to keep the rights to Spider-Man, by putting out mediocre movies like those Amazing Spider-Man films.
I mean, it was pretty obvious when the timing of the first, like, Spider-Man 3 came out, and then Amazing Spider-Man, I want to say, was what came out shortly after that. And everyone was like, didn't we just get a Spider-Man movie, like, a year or two ago?
And then they had to restart the origin again. We literally in a few years, we literally got like 2 retellings of Spider-Man in movie form.
Yep.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad timing.
But yeah.
At least
I like how Marvel then just skipped over his origin. They're just like, nah, this has been done enough.
Yeah, they don't even have the Uncle Ben. None of the Uncle Ben stuff in there. It's just like, go, we're doing it. Tony Stark's Uncle Ben now.
Pretty much. Actually, yeah, he pretty much was.
Mm-hmm.
He even gave him kind of like a similar speech in the movie, like with the great power comes great responsibility stuff.
Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility without actually saying it.
Right.
Yeah, but they left enough blank time that the whole Uncle Ben thing could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're ambiguous about it enough. They didn't, write out his origin story. They're just like, that's not important.
Yeah. So yeah, we're actually out of topics right now. So let's go with the de facto. What are you guys playing?
I'm playing a weird little Japanese game. It's Monster Hunter.
Oh, that
PSA for everybody. The Ryu content just came out. Ryu. But you have to know somebody who has a copy of Street Fighter. So track down a buddy who has Street Fighter, have them launch the mission, and you can join them. I believe it's Special Arena Quest or something. You can then join those missions and unlock that content yourself. You cannot launch that mission if you don't own Street Fighter. So buddy up, and if you have a copy of Street Fighter, help some homies out and share that quest.
Well, we knew somebody with one, Tony.
Yeah,
we could just
for those of us not lucky enough on the podcast,
yes.
or you can search for them by spamming through the SOS messages looking for arena quests, but be quick because those things fill up fast. But your best bet is just going to be to.
That's a pretty interesting way to kind of go about this sort of special DLC. It's like, okay, you don't need to have if you don't have Street Fighter, you can't activate this mission without joining somebody who has it.
I mean, I've seen things like that before where like, if you have this other game, then you get this bonus content. And it's looking at it through that lens, it's non-irritating. And then I appreciate the fact they're like, well, if you don't have this, you just kind of need to know somebody who has, then you can piggyback off of them, or just look for a stranger who has it and then piggyback off of them. So they give you a workaround. So I'm not entirely unhappy. Maybe I got the rope-a-dope because they showed me the stick before they showed me the carrot, but for the most part, I think it's pretty common to have, if you have a save file in this other game, it unlocks this special costume. I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I think so.
So you need to own Street Fighter 5.
You need to have a Street Fighter 5 save file, and it unlocks the ability to launch this quest. If you don't, anybody who does have a Street Fighter 5 save file can launch the quest, and you can join them.
Yeah,
including SOS flares or strangers or whatever. So, but the easiest way is going to be if you know somebody. If you don't know somebody, and this has been recommended on several threads that I've read, if you don't know somebody, for those of you that don't know, you don't have to just jump into an online session. You can matchmake your sessions from level of experience, from beginner to experience to any. You can look for certain servers doing certain quests. So just jump into one looking for arenas, and that'll allow you to join the quest a little bit easier, give you a higher chance to actually see that quest pop and get in there before it's full. I would not be surprised if you didn't actually see certain lobbies pop up for farming these quests, and it'll actually say that in the description. So utilize that matchmaking system if you don't know somebody that already has this content. Utilize that matchmaking system, look for those arena quests, and piggyback off somebody else, because everybody wants to throw Hadoukens at dragons.
How does it work? Is it just a pose?
I'm not actually sure. What I'm thinking it probably does is it just replaces your slinger animation with a Hadouken. So
that makes sense. That does make sense.
So I have Street Fighter 5. I don't know if I have a save file, but
you should.
Well, I didn't. I don't remember.
Is it Street Fighter 5 or the arcade edition of Street Fighter 5?
I think it was just Street Fighter 5. I'm not entirely sure, because this happened like a few hours before I think we started this podcast. There was an update file that rolled through, and that just launched the content. So still a little bit sparse, but for what it's worth, for those of you that be like, man, I hear it's out, son of a bitch, I can't find it. Don't tear your hair out. You may not be able to see it if you don't have a save file. So you're gonna have to kind of go around the backwards way. Just trying to save some of y'all the hassle of trying to figure out where this fucking new downloadable quest content came in, and navigating through menus for hours and getting frustrated. So there you go. Now you know. Knowing's half the battle.
So anything else? It's just you're just monster hunting, huh?
I mean, I've been catching up on a lot of art. I haven't even had a chance to do a whole lot of monster hunting this week. So I'm planning to try and everybody's passed me up at this point.
I'm not.
Well, yeah, no. Man, that was actually what I was gonna say. I have a few people who are still kind of catching up, and you're one of them. That I'm kind of hanging back and helping. I'm doing my little expeditions, hoping to fight a dragon soon.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I thought that an easy way to actually go about getting the information for some of these tracking quests was doing these optional missions.
Mm-hmm.
Tony swore up and down, man, that you have to go on these expeditions, and while those work, the way that the game is set up makes me feel like
No, you just got to go to you just got to go to the open exhibition mode.
well, you
Exposition
can
mode.
do that, but the game also tells you that by completing optional quests, it also fills that bar.
Yeah, it also does.
Yeah, and it
gets,
does it way quicker.
It does about
See,
like
that-
10 points or so. 10 points or
See,
20 points.
That's what I thought, and I was like, it does it quicker. So this seems like the game is telling me this is your point where you go back and farm materials for that armor set that you were really wanting. So I've been doing that, and I actually feel like it might be slower than the expeditions. That or these 3 dragon quests, you just have to do a shitload of tracking, because I have done a good, 10 side quests, and I am like halfway on each of them.
Wow. It took me maybe it took me 10 to fill all 3 of them.
Really? And you were just doing optional missions, or were you doing expeditions in there too?
So this is what I would do. So I knew it was the waste, it was the Run Vale, and it was the Ancient Forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I accepted optional quests, and I would land, and then I knew where the tracks would be, or the vicinity where the tracks would be, and I'd just, get one of the footprints or something like that, and then I'd just continue on with the mission, complete the mission, and the meter would fill up like a lot, like pretty significantly compared to just doing expeditions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
maybe it's a hybrid of both then, because I've been booking it straight for the monster.
Okay. Maybe that's why.
I run at the monster like I've got personal beef with him.
Well, it's funny. Whenever you're doing those sorts of expeditions, like they usually have like on the way to the monster, they usually just have like random footprints and stuff that just keep appearing on the way there.
Yeah, sometimes they just appear in random places that on your way to the monster. But sometimes they're just in weird locations, and if you realize where those locations are, and you can just, once you start a mission, you just like, oh, let me take the long way to the monster and pass through here to find some tracks, and if you find those tracks, then you can just move on to the monster, and once you complete it, you get a pretty significant fill in that meter.
Yeah, but I for me, I was doing the Pink Rathian stuff and just kind of going through different levels and getting all kinds of stuff. I'm more of an explorer type of person, so like right now I'm trying to find these little glyphs on the walls for those little kind of pygmy guys.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to find out what that does. It's a little bit hard to find out where those things are. So Carlos, obviously you're not playing Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, man, I'm playing. That's exclusively what I've been playing, Monster Hunter. I'm a little ahead of you guys. Brett, I'm pretty much done with what Brett's doing, and that's where I left off. I'm about to duel with the Elder Dragons. I did some grind. I might still do grind a little bit for some more stuff, but I pretty much have all the Nergigante armor and a Nergigante hammer, so I'm pretty much set to fight those 3 Elder Dragons, and once I knock those down to the final boss, man, I'm almost done with this. I've accumulated. I'm really
There's more.
Well, yeah, there's obviously more, but just story wise, that's kind of it. But yo, man, I'm so surprised. Like when I was looking towards like what I was playing this year before the year started, I'm like, oh, it's God of War, Spider-Man. Oh, Monster Hunter's coming out. It's cool. I'm 60 hours in.
Yeah.
I'm almost 70 hours, and I'm like, damn, I didn't expect this. So it's a really pleasant surprise when something like this grabs your attention for this long, and yeah, man, I've been enjoying it all the way, and especially playing with you guys. I always enjoy playing with you guys. Like,
yeah,
I'm more of a co-op person more than anything, so yeah, just having to interact with you guys and leveling up and
Mhm.
beating the monsters and having man, we have some of the craziest like epic moments. I was playing with Tony and Isaac, our friend Isaac,
Mhm.
and there was this one part in where I had to fight a Rathalos,
Mhm.
and either Rathalos or a Rathion, but in the I think it's the ancient forest. There's like a nest on top of the map, right?
Mhm.
Where there's like a little dam that's covering water.
Yeah.
So we got to a point where we were fighting it for a long time. They got up there, and we broke open the little dam, so the water
Mhm.
like sunk them down, and I jumped from the top of the map and just like held the little action button on my axe while
Mhm.
jumping down, and I landed a hit from the top of the map on the Rathalos and killed it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that dam hits for a lot of damage.
yeah, yep. And so yeah, man, I was upset as hell because I tried to save it, but the share features on PlayStation is so messed up.
Yeah.
So I pressed the share button, right? And 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 I'm like, okay, cool. I saved the clip.
Mhm.
So we kept playing, and then I'm like, we finished, and I'm like, okay, let me check the clip out. I pressed the share button again, and it saved like 14 minutes of the last things we were doing. I'm like, where the hell is the clip?
Hmm.
It didn't get saved up, man. I was so mad.
Yeah, I usually like you can have it set up a certain way. Like the way I have my share button set is like one tap does the screenshot, and
Hmm.
then a tap a hold push actually starts the video. And
Really?
you could also
Yeah, you
actually
could program the button.
you can have it set up so like that where like or you can have it do it in like where it will just continuously record in the background, and then you
Hmm.
can just kind of choose what things that you want and just edit them out.
Okay, I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, I haven't
There's
used. I just use the share button for like taking photos and stuff.
yeah, yeah, man, because Monster Hunter has too many epic moments. I need to save some of them.
Cool. Are
Dude,
you?
this game is just enjoyable to play. I don't even know when I beat this game if I'll
gonna
probably
stop?
just go back and keep playing. This game has me addicted like Souls level. Like I want to go and hunt monsters because I
Hmm.
like hunting monsters.
And
And there's
Brett,
yeah,
one of the crazy things about all this, it's a game we all enjoyed.
Yeah.
dude, even Tony Tony is enjoying a like online multiplayer hack and slash, like just everything about this game like says that a lot of people shouldn't like it, but it's pulled everybody together. It's a weird thing, man.
If only hip
It's the
hop.
replacement Destiny.
It's what Destiny wishes it were, man.
Yeah.
So Carlos, have you been? Did you get to play any of Shadow?
No, Monster Hunter has monopolized my time.
Yeah,
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus will always be there. It's a
it'll
game
always be there.
that it's just like
It doesn't take very long to beat, to be
it
honest.
doesn't I played it for maybe 30 minutes and I beat the first three bosses or the
Hmm.
first three colossi.
Yeah.
So it's a game that doesn't really take much of your time. It's really more of a game that sort of engulfs you in the world.
Hmm.
It's like you're just riding your horse and like looking at the vast
Yeah.
uh, map, and you're like, man, what's the history of this place? It's
Yeah.
like you just think about it. It's a game it's a game that more it would have worked amazing in VR. This game would be amazing in VR because it's just
Hmm.
the world is the game more sort of than the combat, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, from me playing it, I like I've said this before. I'm more of an explory type of person, so like in general, I like to go around and look for different things and see what's around. So I mean, this
Hmm.
one they did a lot of extra. They put some extra stuff into the world where you can kind of find secrets and other things they've hidden, which is kind of cool. So
Nice.
I have my map set up of what I'm gonna do. Before I haven't even I played a little bit of it, And I mean, I'm mostly just going around, looking around the environments and looking for hidden things before I even start the first Colossus. Because you can do that. You don't need to go to the first Colossus at all. You just keep dicking around in the world and just looking for
Yeah.
stuff.
I guess the only downside of that is there's just a whole bunch of clouds covering your whole map.
Yeah, there's a bunch of clouds covering your map. Because yeah, as soon as you beat a Colossus, the map gets revealed.
It gets revealed.
So Adam, what are you playing?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
What?
Yeah, just all right. Yeah, so that's a whole other story. That whole Great like shit. But I got past it. I figured out what to do. I'll talk about it later. But yeah, playing that. Of course, Call of Duty multiplayer. Keep playing that. Need for Speed Payback. Just going through that every once in a while. I want to go to race. The 2K18, the PS4 version, the Switch version is still broken. So there goes that. Let's see what else. What else did I just play? Homefront. The new Homefront, that's all right. That's fun. That's another one where it's great to play with friends, but it's a weird co-op system. It's like certain missions you could do co-op, you can't do all of them. It's not a jump in, jump out. It's weird, but you always have like a team with you. This weekend playing more Division Dark Zone, teaming up with people. We're gonna run in there, try to get the rest of those trophies in there, and then for leisure time, I'll jump into some Madden, and just throw the ball around. That's what I love, just jumping all over the place.
So are you one of those? Are you an Ask Madden guy, or are you just Or are you one of those people that like meticulously looks through the plays? Or are you someone that just audibles off of a play?
No, 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 no. It depends. It's like I know about different play types, but I'm not like a pro at it. Like between a nickel and a dime and setting up the formations, it depends on the place, But I like to pick my own plays. I don't like to always say, yeah, yeah, pick whatever the coach said, whatever the coach said. Let's just go with it. Especially when it's on defense, I like to set up my own lines and stuff, and it's fun, just to jump in there and play. Not so great at playing in the online, but I'll play just some of the franchise mode. And I did that season, that career mode, that story mode. That's how you do a Telltales type game. Oh man, the storytelling on it, and it's pretty much QTEs. A lot of people bitched about it, but it's like a Telltales game. It was a story based game. It really was.
Yep.
And I think that's a change because a lot of these sport games, it's not. It's just go in there, complete these challenges, but you're still playing the game. It's like, oh, I'm just doing challenges, score 2 goals or whatever it is. Like the way they did in FIFA, not that creative. This was very creative, and the acting was well done. It's pretty good. Only paid $3 for it, so yeah, why not? And
Using that
yeah,
PlayStation money.
yeah, I got the PlayStation money. So but besides that, yeah, just jumping in now, and I was playing. Oh, trying to do Until Dawn. Me and Rich
Oh.
from the co-op, we were doing that. Says he got the platinum in it, and my thing is that I always screw up on the one QTE, and it messes everything up for me. So then we did a share play where he was calling it out, real quick. He was like, XQ, this and that. But then even then, it was like there was a delay,
There's a
and it
delay.
was just we were like, oh, this sucks, And I was trying to find a guide of just showing me the QTE. So hey, if anybody out there knows about any guides, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter something because I'm finding a bunch of guides, but it's like it'll say, "Oh, go through this door," and then it just says QTE. Yeah, that's the thing. I want to know the QTE because it's so quick. The prompts. I would like to just fly through it. I already beat the game once. I'm trying to get the good ending. I would just like to know what square, triangle, whatever it's real quick, and just keep going. But so yeah, we tried to do that over the weekend. And what else? There was something else I was playing. Oh, and Mario Odyssey.
Yay.
Oh, nice.
Jumping in on that. I just,
Man.
it's okay. What I mean? But it's not what I wanted. But it's all right. I just run around and, I'm early on. I just went down the upside down pyramid. So,
Oh, so you're
but
pretty.
it's funny because I take turns with a coworker, right? So I let him on his lunch break take it, and he was like, "Yo, I just saw it because that you can have different profiles. I mean, different save points." And he's like, "Yo, I just saw you're still early on." He's like, "I just passed New Donk City." I was like, "Oh, okay." And he doesn't have a Switch, and he has no plan of getting it. He's like, "I'll just keep beating it from yours."
Yeah.
There you go. So I was like, "All right." So yeah, but I'm running around in that, and there was something else that I was playing. I don't know. Well, those are it. that's what I do. For anybody who knows that sees me on the PS4 or whatever, I'm just constantly jumping in and out of stuff. If I get bored, it's just like switch to something else. Or if I get stuck in something, you know what? I'll get back to it. Let me go to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you spend too much time with dealing with one issue, like what I was dealing with Horizon, that weird glitch, and that's what people are calling it because they never fixed it. They just left it alone.
Hmm.
And for those listening real quick, it's just if you go, I went into a section, there was a bunch of monsters. I set up my traps, I had my arrows, boom, boom, boom. I killed like 4 or 5 of them. There was 2 in the distance, and I was near a bonfire. Ran to the bonfire to do a quick save, right? Go off to kill them. Well, a third I didn't see came, jumped on me, killed me. No problem, right? I saved. Well, when that loads up, I don't have my bombs. I mean, my traps. I don't have my arrows. I don't have any of that stuff. And all those monsters I killed have all respawned. So why did it bring one part and not all of it?
Hmm.
If you're gonna go back that far, then give me all the stuff that I set up that killed those monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they still gone? And now it was a pain in the ass, and I was really stuck because I had like little to no health. That's the other thing. It brought me back with like little to no health.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand it with no pouches, and I had pouches. It just stripped me of everything, and it was a pain. So basically what I did was, and someone on the forum had mentioned they had something similar to this happen, like a cave. They changed the difficulty to easy, and then you'll notice that some of those monsters disappear, and then most of them are like one hit. And that's what I did. I switched it down to easy, went in, boom, 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 and then I switched it back. I got out of that point.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a pain in the ass. But yeah, the story is interesting. It's different. It sort of has that Mad Max feel,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then that's it.
That's cool. I mean, so I guess I go for me. Mine is the simple one. Simple one. I've been playing Monster Hunter World here and there. I mean, I'm trying to get a bunch of work done. I mean, my schedule is not that crazy now where I can actually sit down and play for a few hours, but I need to be careful about it because I get sucked into the void when it comes to that game.
Right?
You just kind of like, hey, look, I'm gonna play at 10. Holy shit, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. you know, where did it go? So yeah, so that's that. They've been playing that. Right now I'm like working toward the Pink Rathian section of the game. And yeah, and I'm right now. I'm just kind of exploring the different environments and looking for little, these little hieroglyphs that these little creatures leave on the walls, because I want to see what that opens up. Because I've been more of the other side of the game, where it's the explorative side, where I look for all the little cats and all kinds of the other things in there. And if you ever look at my profile, I actually have like a really high unity because I just run around with the cats from the environments all the time. So like my cat now has the ability to charm any of those lizards, those kind of lizards from the Rotten Vale. Now he can also charm the flying ones. So now he can just, like, if there's one around, he'll just hang out. We just leave him there for a little bit, and he'll just jump on top of him and ride him around, which is cool. And the Jagras, he can also do that. Like if there's like one Jagras there, he'll jump on the Jagras and he'll like ride the Jagras like a little like a vehicle or something, which is kind of fun. And then I still have Shadow of the Colossus, which is really cool because I really enjoy that game, and also like I was saying, I kind of want to look around through the world and see what things that they kind of added to it, which is nice. There was this one thing that Blue Point added to the game, which were these little coins or like enlightenments or whatever you call. So anyway, somebody actually, I think I mentioned this on the show, somebody actually found out what happens when you get all of them. It opens like a secret passageway underneath the castle, which which wasn't there in the original game, and it gives you this really cool, awesome sword. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go around like that, get all the little lizards and get all the little shrines of worship and stuff like that, and then fight the first Colossus. Good stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, that's it. Like we're out of content. I think somebody mentioned the NPDs. I'm not exactly sure where to find the NPDs. Tony's the master of that. He's the game journalist guy. So yeah, I mean, just to give you an update on Tony, he's still stuck in Manhattan on trying to get back from the city. But here's the thing: for all of you New Yorkers out there, or people who've been to New York or going to New York, one thing, No Man's Land. I'll tell you what No Man's Land is. At 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock in New York, they call it the city that never sleeps, but at 9 o'clock, that's when this trains start just going screwy, because that's around the time when
to the outer boroughs.
To the outer boroughs. Like if you live in Manhattan, that's fine. But to the outer boroughs, everything starts to get screwy, where it's like you get onto the, one train doesn't go here because they're doing all this. That's their time when they do
that's where they start doing the maintenance.
Yeah, they do maintenance and construction in those times. So you'll find like some trains that are usually go to one stop don't stop there, or they'll decide to combine a couple of lines onto the same line and then have a smaller amount of trains. So Tony is stuck in that, which is the worst thing ever, especially trying to get home at right now. I said we're texting him right now. I'm like, you should get on an Uber and just take it home, man. Fuck the train.
Do those come, are those really expensive to get from?
I took an Uber around from where my mom lives is fairly close to where Tony is, so it could probably be around 35 to 40, I would say. So
damn, it's a lot.
It's actually well, the thing is that in New York City they have the Uber is every single Uber driver has to be part of the taxi and limousine service. Right. So they bump the price to pay that, because essentially what's happening is taxi and limousine service is taking money for the city.
Well, they pay so much for those medallions, and that was the whole thing when Uber came along. It was like undermining the whole worth and value of those medallions, which cost them, some of them up to almost $1 million, depending on the medallion.
So that's what it is. So they're trying to compensate. But anyway, that's that. And definitely Tony will be back, as usual on our next show. So I guess I'm going to close down the show. Thank you all for showing up and watching us live. Also, thank you for those of you who are listening to us on SoundCloud, as well as watching us on YouTube a little bit later. I'm actually vamping so that I can get the show notes. So, thank you for watching and listening. What was that?
I was just gonna say, yo, man, I can fill in some time.
Thank you for watching and listening. Subscribe to us on. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Mixer, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are in the description below. Yes, as well as Twitch. Links are in the description below. I am your host, Emilio Lopez, and I was joined by Carlos Romero.
Yo, guys, go watch anime. You know what to do.
Yo, man, this is the manga god.
I'm the anime guy here, chilling in the cut. Catch y'all later.
Brett Murdoch.
Deuces, everybody. Happy hunting.
Adam Vale.
Yeah, have a good weekend coming up, and I'll see whoever wants to jump in tomorrow for a Friday night WrestleCast. So we do another 8 hours of just talking wrestling. So get ready for that.
And if you're not into wrestling, we might do a gaming stream.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I think our usual gaming. Well, tomorrow is actually Tony Polanco's birthday. Well, now it is Tony's birthday.
There
it's on the 16th.
It's gonna be 15.
It's on the 16th. So yeah, happy birthday to Tony. We'll probably tell him again on throw it on your questions. I have a small plan. I'm thinking there's a concert that's happening in New York City, and that I might be able to get tickets when we go tomorrow. So if that does happen, there may or may not be a Throwdown plays.
What concert? Who's playing?
It's called G3, which is Joe Satriani.
Oh, he still plays?
Oh, hell yeah.
He's still doing the guitar?
He's still playing guitar. Joe Satriani, he just released an album. Joe Satriani, it's, who's the other guys? John Petrucci from the band Dream Theater, and the guitarist from Def Leppard.
So 3 guitarists, what are they doing, a battle off? Or?
No, they all have their own set. They all have their own maybe 30-minute sets or hour sets or whatever. And then at the end, they do like an ultra jam when they play whatever song that they're playing. So it's really cool. We've gone to them like multiple times in the past. So it's going to be at the Beacon Theater. So hopefully I might be able to get tickets. I'm a little bit late to the party. I was supposed to get them early before, but I was like, I had so much stuff going on. But anyway, yeah. Happy birthday to Tony, and I'll see you later, guys.
Laters.
Peace out, everyone.
Deuces.